Welcome back to another episode of the Meditation and Mindfulness Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Zaremba. And welcome back, folks. Another episode, another day. And I hope your day is going well. And it's that time of year now where the leaves are turning, the leaves are falling, we're raking up leaves, we're thinking about the season, all the things that are coming, the holidays. And it's really easy to forget about our meditation. It's really easy to forget about our mindfulness because this time of year is very distractful, if that is a word. If it isn't, well, there you go. It's very full of distractions. That's the opposite of mindful, right? Distractful. But all these upcoming seasonal distractions, and it's kind of an interesting question, you know? Some people like the holidays, some people don't. Some people look forward to the holidays, others don't. And whatever, side of the fence you're on, regardless of your take on the holidays and the upcoming seasons changes, one thing's for sure, there's going to be a lot of interesting distractions going on. Starting with, here we are in the month of October, and Halloween's right around the corner. Not too long after that, we've got Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas holiday, and then New Year's, and then that long, cold winter sets in, and, there's a few other holidays sprinkled in there to keep us going, but, how do you make it through all of this and not get caught up in it? And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, folks. I want to give you some practical tips. I want to give you some practical information and things that you can do to make it through the holiday season right here on the Meditation and Mindfulness Podcast. So stay tuned for some good tips and tricks today, folks. Tricks or treats, we may not know, but of course it's all centered around what? Meditation and mindfulness. What else? What else would I have called my podcast if we weren't going to talk about meditation and mindfulness? And I am a big believer that if you meditate well, the mindfulness will come naturally. But if you don't meditate, the mindfulness part is going to be quite difficult. Let me explain my case. So, when we sit down to meditate, it's a full examination. There's a full seeing of our current state of awareness. So let's say you sit down to meditate and the thoughts you've been accumulating, thinking about the circumstances, the events in your life, kind of go circling through the head, and one by one they kind of leave the mind, and your mind slows down, hopefully, to a state of very minimal thought or slowed down thought, or heck, possibly even no thought. Who'd have thunk it? Your mind settles into stillness, but in the beginning, there's always a bit of an examination of what's going on in the mind, and this is probably a good, healthy thing to do. And there are different kinds and different times for different types of meditations, aren't there? Sometimes we're craving just a more contemplative type of meditation, where we might sit and literally just observe our thoughts. And by observing our thoughts, we can learn a great deal about what we are being exposed to, focusing on, what we're collecting in our minds, and help to clear it out, get rid of some of that unneeded, unwanted thought matter that's just kind of floating around in there. And so other times we're craving different types of meditation. I think it's good to combine both a contemplative meditation with a concentrative meditation technique. And what do I mean by that? Well, one way you could set up your meditation training or meditation practice is by doing, let's say, 2 meditations per day. Having 1 meditation in the morning and make that your concentration meditation. The one where you're focusing, you're doing your single-pointed mind technique, which I talk a lot about. And if you're not familiar with the single-pointed mind technique, briefly, it's simply concentrating your full awareness on one point or one object. And whenever thought comes in, you simply ignore thought and return your focus back to that object or point of awareness or point of attention, point of concentration. And by doing this repeatedly, your mind becomes, your concentration ability becomes very strong. And you're able to hold your attention, your focus, your awareness on a single point for longer and longer and longer periods of time, not only strengthening your concentration ability, but ultimately leading toward a state of continuous, uninterrupted stream of awareness. And when you have a continuous stream of uninterrupted awareness, you are in a state of meditation. The more longer and prolonged this state of a continuous, uninterrupted stream of awareness, the deeper your meditation, the deeper your submersion into whatever you're focusing on. There's ultimately a merging of both your stream of awareness and the object of concentration. And when this union takes place, this is ultimately what we call samadhi. In the highest state of meditation, we're entering into a state of no state, because we are beyond subject and object orientation. We have become one with and merged with, and therefore there's neither a subject nor an object, but perhaps what we could call pure consciousness, pure awareness, in a state beyond words. It's difficult to describe what to call it, but we can kind of make an attempt. And so this is where we're going with this meditation stuff. And so, backtracking just a little bit, let's come down off that meditation mountain for a moment and back into our mindfulness. We've meditated, we've come down, we're back into the world, and it's time to act. It's time to carry out our duties. It's time to get to work and get to those tasks or actions or games or whatever we're about to do in this life. And by bringing that meditative awareness into everything that we do, we're now exercising our mindfulness. So without the meditative awareness first, the mindfulness practice is a weak attempt, let's be honest, at best. Because what we're trying to do with our mindfulness is merely sustain that meditative awareness that we've trained our mind to enter into in the morning. And that's why I recommend the concentration practice for your morning practice, because it'll set up the rest of your day. You wake up, you have a cup of coffee, maybe a light breakfast, take a shower, and you sit down to meditate before work, before school, before play, before going out for your errands or your daily tasks or cleaning the house or whatever it might be that you're going to be venturing into. Doing that that concentrative meditation in the morning, the single-pointed mind meditation, will make your mind very strong. And then you take that strength into your daily activities, and the mindfulness happens effortlessly. Now, if you're someone who doesn't meditate and you try to practice the mindfulness, sure, it'll help. There can be periods of, But what are you reaching for in those moments? This is why the meditation sets you up for the mindfulness, because you're reaching, let's say, with your full awareness for the highest state of consciousness, the most still point of mind that you can attain, the most blissful, peaceful peace of mind, this higher state of consciousness in your meditation practice. We reach for that star in the morning, and then we come back from our meditation, back into our bodies, and we set out about our day. Well, at that point, you're just simply riding that wave, that crest that you created in the morning meditation. So your mindfulness should happen spontaneously and effortlessly. Now, what mindfulness practice can become is, what are you going to do to maintain that awareness? Now, sure, there are some tips and tricks to carry that meditative awareness with you throughout the day for longer, or to remember it, bring it back to your awareness, etc., without having to say, sit down for another full meditation. Now, of course, sitting down for another full meditation is definitely a good thing to do in the evening. Let's say you get home from work, you had a busy day, you were stuck in traffic, and you've got all that stuff on your mind. Well, the first thing that you'll want to do is sit down and meditate and clear the mind of all that accumulated energy that you've picked up throughout the day. And that meditation could be more loose, maybe more of a contemplative or just an observing meditation, where you're perhaps just listening to music. That's a form of observing. Just listening deeply will still the mind. Perhaps you want to just observe the mind and observe the thoughts until they slow down and you reach a state of peace of mind. Or perhaps you want to do some inquiry at that point. You're feeling adventurous and you want to ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really? What am I? What the hell is going on with me? Who am I talking to? And you can ask yourself, this is a self-inquiry. You ask yourself who you are, and hopefully you'll tell yourself. Who knows? Maybe you'll give yourself a clue. But there's so many different ways to meditate, folks, but the point is that you do it. You set yourself up for success. You pattern your life around it, and heck, there may be a day where you miss it. There may be a day or two where you get off track, and that's okay. That happens to me. That can happen to you. The point is that you get back on. This meditation journey is a lifelong journey. And there's no real way to speed it up other than just to diligently practice when you do. Practice every day if you can. Practice as thoroughly and as deeply and as intensely as you can, with a tremendous amount of commitment. A few podcasts ago I spoke of intensity, with a great deal of intensity. And intensity is important. But I want to revise that slightly. And it's all about revision. We need to revise ourselves constantly. And heck, next week I might just return back to the intensity. But I think more than just intensity, it's commitment that is required. Whether you're focusing on your single point, be it the yantra, be it a chakra, be it a mantra, be it a candle flame, be it your breath, whatever object you're focusing on in your meditation, commit. So intensity is one way of saying what kind of energy you need to bring to that effort, but ultimately commitment is what you're doing. You're committing yourself to holding your mind on that point. And it's all about commitment. And how many times have we let ourselves down? Too many to count, right? And what good has it done us? We're sick and tired of letting ourselves down. So the commitment factor is another factor that can be exercised, that level of commitment. How stick-to-itive are you? How committed are you? Not only to the moment, but to the lifelong practice, to the week, to the month, to the year, to whatever endeavor you're committing to. Meditation is the core. It's the place where the rubber meets the road, where your mind meets the mill. And that's where it moves, that's where it turns, that's where they touch. The moment you can concentrate on is the only real moment there is. It's beyond the mind's knowing. But the best thing we can do to come close to it is focusing on one thing at a time with our full awareness. And with that full awareness, not just the eyes, not just the ears, not just the feeling, not just the emotion, not just the intensity, not just the passion, but every bit and part of you, every bit and part held on that one, on that thing, on that object. Your full you there. That is what it takes. And it's that commitment of holding it there that will exercise your willpower, that will translate into everything that you do. Everything that you do. Because it's who you are. It becomes you. It trains you. It makes you better. If we're comparing an untrained you versus the trained you, meaning training in a concentrative way, well, heck, which one would you pick? I think the one that can concentrate, right? And, let's face it, we're the ADD generation. I don't know about you, but we're all distracted from so many things. There's so much distraction in the world today, and I talk about it all the time. It's easy. It's too easy to distract ourselves these days. Back when I was a kid, all we had was the transistor radio. Well, I'm not that old. But all we had was maybe TV or magazines, right? Nowadays, you got the internet, you got your phone, you got a distraction in your pocket 24/7. There's no stopping it. And heck, why not? Why stop it? Why not just let it roll? Just let it roll, baby. Let it go. Well, that's fine. You can choose to do that, or you can choose something else. It's all a choice. You make a choice in every single moment. When we're meditating, you're making a choice at every microsecond. The choice of whether to commit or not commit. And if you make it as simple as that, you break it to that micro simplicity, moment to moment commitment. And what is that, folks? That's called devotion. That's why the emphasis on devotion, bhakti yoga, is so strong in so many traditions. What is devotion? We talk about different types of yoga. And briefly, a couple podcasts back, I did a podcast on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali are different yogas that he describes, and they're ancient ways of becoming or rejoining back to your divine source. Yoga is a return. Yoga means to join, to merge, it means union, ultimately. Union of the finite, the separate self with the whole divine self, the transcendental self, which is truly who we are. So we're just illusions, folks. We're just out here on the fringes of the dream. And waking up is hard to do. And sometimes it hurts. And there's pain involved. And if you can't take the pain, you're going to search for the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is non-committal. When you don't want to commit, you choose comfort. Because commitment requires effort. It requires work, and it requires pain. Because, of course, we naturally want to chill out. We want to veg out. We're conditioned to veg out. This whole distractive enterprise is an attempt to get our attention, keep our attention, and to have our attention return. And so, we're all engaged in our phones. We're all engaged in our shows. We're all engaged in our things, activities, and such. So many things to become engaged in these days, which is why it's so important to have a commitment to your meditation practice, to have a commitment to returning to your center. Ultimately, what it is about returning to the center, your center, the center of it all. The journey to the center of the mind. How deep does it go? How far down? When will we get there? We don't know. We can only stay on the path. We can only make the journey. So the commitment to the journey, to the path, is, as I said before, lifelong. The commitment to meditation is lifelong. And heck, if the world wasn't so distractful, perhaps we wouldn't need to worry, or I wouldn't say worry, but focus so much on sticking to the path of meditation, because the world would be already a world of bliss, a world of light. And sure, we have those moments in a multidimensional world, in a multidimensional universe, let's say, multiverse. We can get to those worlds of light, but it takes the discipline of the mind. From so many distractive forces, the discipline from the world and all of its upcoming distractions in the next few months. The way is having that commitment to your meditation practice and sticking to it. Whether you skip a day, whether you miss out for whatever reason, you just get back on the horse. You come back. And that's what it's all about, folks. Always come back. Come back to the path. Come back to Jamaica. That's an old commercial. There's a paradise. There's paradise on earth, because earth is a paradise. It's your mind that makes it into a hell. Your mind is paradise. It's the world that can make it into a hell. So what we have to do is learn how to balance and learn how to shut off from the world, renunciate to a certain degree, renounce the pullings of the world. Or what the heck, don't renounce any of it. Party hard, dude, but just meditate hard, dude. You know? No rules, just right. No rules. But meditate really, really well. I'm not really a big fan of rules personally. It's not about rules. Discipline has nothing to do with rules. Discipline has everything to do with structure. Discipline has everything to do with success. Structure has everything to do with success. Without structure, discipline, commitment, consistency, you're not going to have any results. You're not going to have any success. You're going to dabble. And that's fine. No one's judging the dabblers, man. You dabble away. But the truth of the matter is this stuff works. Meditation can give you results. Heck, wouldn't you want results? You put in the time, you want the results, and you too can have that six-pack meditation. So, it is about commitment. It is about results. So you got to have that daily commitment in order to get that habit, in order to train the mind, in order to overcome the conditioning, in order to get the results that you're looking for out of your meditation practice. In order to keep your mind clear throughout the upcoming distractful time that we will be encountering in the next few months, it's more important than ever to stay on that meditation path, to stick to your meditation practice, to get disciplined, to go within, to really get introspective and take that inner journey. Make that commitment to yourself. And, realize that there are people out there that want to help you. You can contact me on Facebook at Rob Zaremba. Look it up on the Facebooks, Rob Zaremba. I'd be happy to help you answer any questions you have about meditation or how to get started with meditation. I also run a meditation and mindfulness Facebook group, and it's called Meditation and Mindfulness. Who'd have thunk it? Besides that, folks, if there's anything that this time of year can remind us is that, life is impermanent. Life is about change. And so the seasons change without us having much say, and we kind of have to just go with the flow and realize that our seasons change, and we have to go with that flow. And it's much easier to go with that flow when you meditate, when you're in touch with something that's just beyond the body, beyond the surface, when you have a deeper understanding of life. So I encourage you to meditate and hope that you stay committed to your meditation practice if you do meditate. And we'll see you guys and gals in the next podcast, in the next video. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.